two, three.
three.
All right.
Yes.
We're fine.
Victory.
We got this. It's going to be fine.
Victory is ours.
Oh my God. Now that you said that, flashback moment here. I'm glad this is recording because it's beautiful. So Spencer's playing some game. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. But
That's
in the
irrelevant
game,
to the conversation.
it's completely irrelevant, really. He's battling something and he wins. And so the screen flashes victory. And I immediately start going, victory in Jesus.
I knew it.
My Savior forever.
And the second you said that, I was like, she's going to start saying
and so,
Jesus.
He was just kind of like, what now? And I'm like, there are these moments.
Because he didn't grow up.
There are these
church.
moments, and I just looked at him, and I was like, Spencer, there are moments when I am incredibly jealous of the lack of indoctrination that you had growing up, because I cannot see the word victory without immediately having that stupid song go into my head. And I don't like it. Like, it's not like a favorite hymn or anything. Like, it's always irked me. Like, I don't like that one.
No, even when I say it, like, something like at work, if I've been struggling with something and I finally like get it to where I need it to be, and I'm just immediately like victory, and then like in my head I finish it out,
and
it's just like, what is wrong with me?
We have been indoctrinated, I swear to you, and it's this extreme, because I mean, I'm gonna be honest, sorry Claire's parents, if you're listening, you're probably not anymore, which is a good idea, don't listen. But I don't go to church, and I haven't in years and years and years. Like, I have slowly forgotten a lot of the stuff that got indoctrinated into my brain, and I'm glad of it, because so there's a lot of guilt in religion, and there's a lot of judginess, and I just needed a break. So I've tried really hard, and yet there are these stupid things like victory that will never go away. Like, I'm never going to be able to be truly pure, open-minded to something that isn't the religion I was brought up in. I mean, you just can't.
Right.
It's so ingrained that it's like, what?
Right.
Not that it's wrong. I'm not here to say, religion is a cult, although kind of, but...
Can that be our judge today?
Oh, God, can we? All right, but we have to be cautious. Because,
yes.
No names.
No names. No names. We both were like, no names.
No names. If you can identify the people in these stories, keep it to yourself.
Yeah, don't.
That's all. But
oh, geez. So hi, friends.
Hi, friends. Hi, welcome to the 11th episode of Brunch and Judge. We are your hosts. I'm April.
And I'm Claire.
And we are trying to recover from our childhood of religious indoctrination, which wasn't all bad. Claire and I are besties because of it, quite honestly.
Right,
I wouldn't have you if our parents hadn't drug us to church all the time, Claire.
It's true. That is 100% true.
And it's totally worth it.
April and I have been unpacking a lot of childhood trauma this past week, past month. Things come up and we text each other, and it's just like, oh my gosh. Like, that's not normal.
So, like, the 90s were this weird time. I mean, obviously, we were tiny kids in the 80s, so they don't count. But, like, the 90s is when we were cognizant of what was going on around us, of the people that we're with, of the parents in the church as well. I mean, and again, just in case Claire's parents are listening, or my parents, they're probably not either, but I have some fond memories of growing up in church. I made some great friends.
Yeah.
Christy Joe, hello, besties since like birth, basically.
Right. Yes.
And I can't imagine childhood without Christy Joe. I can't imagine our teenage years without Claire. Like, that's when Claire and I really solidified our bestieship. So
yes. Like, we knew each other when we were in elementary school, but we didn't go to the same school. So it was one of those, like, you were just kind of like friends by proximity, I guess, when you were like in elementary school. But, growing up and getting into middle school, which we still didn't go to the same school, but
no, I never went to school with anybody.
Was like the only person from the other school that went to our church at
I
that
was
point
alone
in
in the
time.
world. It was
And so it was
traumatic.
just, I don't know, we kind of found each other in youth group kind of thing. So it was that kind of thing.
We are kindred spirits.
Yes.
We had lots of brunchy, judgy conversations even then. Like all of our parking lot conversations. Like, you remember our bizarre art therapy?
Yes. I mean, there were so many things, but it was just like, as kids, you know, children, small children, we were forced to do things that, looking back now, you're like, but why was that even a thing? Okay. Why?
So, for example, I'm sure some of you have come across this on the TikToks, because that's how we fell down the rabbit hole of, oh God, I remember doing this. So if you were in church, I guess probably any church that wasn't Catholic, I feel pretty confident.
Right.
That doesn't have a very
probably Southern Baptist.
Well, but I feel like it's
most
very
likely
just generically Christian
yeah
craziness, because we were not the only people who did this, but we would have these weird, like, special number. You know, people would sing at church, obviously. I sang some at church. Claire did too. But this was like next step. Someone would be singing a song, or maybe we would just play the song. It doesn't really matter. And then there would be people on stage sort of acting it out, sort of like an interpretive movement that wasn't dance. It's not, because dancing's bad.
Yeah,
it's interpretive
basically
movement,
like
you're kind of acting out the song.
Acting out, yes, literally acting out the words to the song. Okay.
And also within that, doing those overly dramatic, like, sign language that wasn't really sign language. Because it wasn't really sign language. Like, there'd be a little bit of sign language, but then it was just like,
it was sort of sign language, but over dramatic. Yes, very much so.
And we participated in this. I'm uncertain. I know, like, it became, there was a group of us, mostly me and Claire and Christy Joe and, you know, a couple of other people who just were always voluntold.
Voluntold, that is an excellent word. Yes, voluntold by parents and adults at church.
I don't know that I ever was like, hey, I want to do this.
Right.
As opposed to someone asked me if I would, and I just felt like I had to say yes. But I don't, to be fair, I didn't put a whole lot of thought into it at the time. It was just a thing that we did, and I remember thinking, this is weird, but whatever. I'm just, you know, a tween, a teen. I don't know anything. It's, the adults are in charge. Now that I'm an adult, I'm like, what the hell?
Right. You're just like, this was not okay. No.
But the one that Claire and I have specifically been trying to unpack is this horrific song by Shania Twain. I think it's who originally did it. I don't actually know. But that's the only version I know.
Yes. I found it.
And it's called God Bless the Child, but it's actually called God Bless the Child That Suffers, because it's all these little mini, like, one-line stories of super sad, tragic things that kids go through. I mean,
we've got you're like unpacking, like, you know, child abuse, sexual abuse, drug abuse, becoming a sex worker because you had to, heroin, like babies who were born with drug addiction, you know, stuff like that. I mean, in kids shooting other kids.
Yes. Oh God. And this was
in
actually
the song.
And this was pre, like, massive school shootings. There'd been like a couple of one-offs, but this was pre-Columbine. I do remember that.
I mean, because April and I were probably I want
to say it was like,
I was 5th grade. I'm pretty positive when that happened. Yeah. Because they started having this children's service because of a tragedy that happened in our church, and I was in 5th grade when it happened. So it was about, so I was like 10 or 11. Like so April would have been like 11 or 12.
I feel like when we did that specific song, though, we were a little bit older, wasn't it? Like 7th, 8th grade?
I don't know.
It had been a couple of years.
Yeah, but they kept doing it because of that tragedy. They would do it around the time that the tragedy took place, And every single year after that, for the longest time, much to my chagrin, I hated it, loathed it. Okay, I don't like, again, I've changed since then, but back in the day, I absolutely loathed getting up in front of people and performing. Hated it. Like, it was like my worst nightmare. I didn't want anybody looking at me. I was definitely a wallflower back in the day. And like April said, being voluntold, like, oh, you have to get up here and do this. It's just like, you're just like, oh my God. It's just like mortifying. Hated it. Hated every second of it. Never wanted to do it. Was not my thing.
I, however, love to be the center of attention. Shock. That hasn't changed a whole lot. But to me, so not to go into too many details about the tragedy, because it's sad and we have lots of feelings about it in different ways, and that's not really the point. But the tragedy did involve the death of a family's 3 kids due to a shooting. And so this particular song that we're reenacting has a scene where a kid shoots another kid in the back. Like, it's an accident. Like, it's obviously someone's... Yeah. It's not an intentional whatever, but it was an accident in the song. And I'm like, this feels like a bad thing to include. And I want to say that I have a memory of them sort of tweaking that. And that we didn't actually act that bit out. But I don't know if that's a real memory or if I've manufactured it to try and feel better. Because even at the time, I was like, oh, no, we shouldn't do that.
I mean, because I don't have a memory of them tweaking it. In my brain, I was like, we literally acted out just about everything in that song. I remember, because the one line where it talks about like a dad touching the daughter, like making something about making the kid play games she doesn't want to play. Right. Like, I remember, like, they made like an older youth, like a high schooler, act like the dad. And I mean, it wasn't anything, but it was like that they just kind of like touched the girl on the shoulder, but it was still just like,
it's this creepy. Is wrong. That's not okay.
This is so wrong.
And I remember specifically the like kid getting hit or abused or whatever. Yes. Like, I remember the kid. I can't
remember specifics of who did what. I just know that I was the nurse, and they had me up there in one of those dumbass little nurse hat things. They had a little Red Cross deal on it. Oh, I hated it. And I'm like standing there holding this drug addicted baby. Yep. Like, that was I hate.
And in that moment, Claire decided she could not have children. Way to go, church.
I mean, there are so many things that happened at church that I feel like led me to be like, I'm not a fan of having kids. Absolutely not. So many things at church that led me to that conclusion.
All of that to say that we did this as some sort of way to get people to love Jesus. I don't quite understand, because
and as a memorial,
the theme of the song. I made Spencer. Well, he wanted to hear it, so he listened to it, and then
he wanted to hear it.
I know. And
he immediately regretted his decision.
And so he read through the lyrics, because it's not super easy to understand. Sorry, Shania Twain, but the twang, it's hard. But so he's reading through the lyrics, and he's like, what exactly is the point of the song? Like, she doesn't really say anything. Is it just that, there's a lot of suffering, so God bless those poor kids so that it gets better? Because it sounds kind of like, bless you for suffering. And I'm like, I don't really know. It is really a sick, twisted, not well thought out song. But it was, I mean, it says my internet connection is unstable. I don't know what that means. You seem fine. Are you frozen?
You were kind of like sounding like a transformer there for a second.
I am a transformer.
It was.
It's cool.
I was waiting for, Optimus Prime. But anyway, yes.
But I mean, it was just it was a weird way to try to connect to a community to get them to love Jesus. Because it was basically, and this goes back to my philosophy days, you're welcome, But, like, the whole problem of evil that keeps a lot of people from believing in a god is,
Yeah.
if there truly were a god who could do all these things, then why does he let all of these horrific things happen? And we're just, like, on stage showing, look at all these horrific things that happen, but love Jesus. I'm like, ew, gross, stop
Right.
it.
Because there wasn't a point. I mean, I think
No.
maybe at the end, didn't there? Maybe I'm confusing two different song skits, but
We did many, so
'cause
that's fair.
we did so many. They
I
all blur
specifically
together.
remember the overly dramatic, like,
Yeah, and maybe there was somebody at the
very, like,
end who
Lion King.
represented Jesus, and it was like all the children came to him.
Guys, I'm like 13 years old, and I'm uncomfortable now.
I know, it was awful. Awful. There's and then another thing that I was telling April about, I don't know if she was ever forced to go see this. There is this terrible, terrible play called Heaven's Gates and Hell's Flames.
It's a play?
Yes. And my dad took me, God, I was like 8 maybe, 7 or 8. And basically it's scenarios of people dying and whether or not they are Christians. And then they go up to the gate and ask Peter if their name is in the book of life.
Oh my God, Claire,
and if it's not, what?
How old were you?
I was like 7 or 8.
Oh my God, Joe Allen, do you hear me? What the hell is wrong with you? Oh my God.
Anyway, I was young. I was little. I was not middle school. I can tell you that right now. And I'm pretty sure this happened before the tragedy that we were talking about. So, anywho, yeah. 9 max, 7 to 9. Let's just say 8 though, because that's in the middle. But anyway, and it was these scenarios, and it would be like these little skits, and it's like I specifically remember like a family being in a car crash, like they're arguing, they're blah 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 back and forth, and they car crashes, they all die. And then it's them at the gate asking if their name's in the book of life. And I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, all 4 of them got in.
Oh,
but there were other scenarios where people did not, obviously, get in.
I can just envision it. It's like Peter's looking at it, like, I'm sorry, it looks like you don't have a reservation. Oh God.
And then if their name was not there, then it was like, and maybe this is my 8-year-old brain making this bigger than what it was, but to me it was like, holy shit. So it's like they had, this isn't a bigger kind of church. It wasn't like a small teeny tiny church. So they had some lighting effects, like strobe lighting that would put you into an epileptic seizure.
That would take me out.
They also had like, I remember, you remember those like flame things? They're like the kind of clothy thing that like raises up when they turn the fan on.
Right.
Like, yes, I remember that. Like they have big ones on the sides, and all these red lights would come on, and this guy dressed as the devil, and like your stereotypical kind of devil with the red, I can't remember if his face was actually painted red, but in the red outfit,
right?
And would literally have his minions drag this person who was standing there, who didn't get into heaven, drag this person kicking and screaming to hell, which was off to like stage left somewhere. And I remember like, but then it was like people got into heaven, and it was like all these angels appeared, and it's like, oh, hallelujah, all that crap, and it's like, I remember as a kid, like going home, I didn't sleep very well for probably a good 2 weeks because I was terrified that Satan was going to come into my room and just like
drag you to hell.
Yeah. Yes, I was terrified. I mean, it was just like, and you try to tell your parents that you're having nightmares and you're scared, and it's just like, oh, it's not real, blah blah blah. But they're like pounding into your head every Sunday that yes, Satan is real and hell is real, and you are going there.
Yeah.
If you don't, but it's like,
So this is one of my number one biggest issues with all religion, really, is that, and Christianity is really specific about this, is the get them while they're young. It's the pounding in this thought to children who are still, they believe in the tooth fairy and Santa Claus and magic and all of those things. And so it's easier at that age to believe in a God and believe that perhaps Jesus did all the things. But it also means that they're believing in hell, and it's scary. Like, you are intentionally terrifying these children who don't have the ability to grasp what kind of a decision it is to go into a religion. Like, we were all baptized super young.
Yeah. And even for me, I felt like I was older.
I waited until I was 9, and apparently that was late.
Well, and see, I did not until I was like 11 or 12, much to my parents' chagrin. Because I remember, and it was one of those things, like, I remember as a kid, I did not want to go to church. And I don't think it had anything to do with, like, learning about Jesus and God. It absolutely had to do with the people who were there.
Yes.
For me.
Yeah.
A lot of kids were bullies. I was not a cool kid at all. A lot of kids were bullies, and in subtle ways, not, and when you say bullies, you think of kids who are like beating up on people, but I'm talking about in subtle ways, like specifically inviting an entire Sunday school class to a sleepover except for you, or trying, like, blatantly trying to, like, separate you from your best friend at like VBS or something like that, and try to, like, get this person to not like you anymore, even though this person was your best friend. It's things like that. Or even, just being snotty and not including you in other things, or just in generally, like, not talking to you. Like, okay, yeah, what would Jesus do? Okay, thanks. Right. You all are really teaching these children what to do. Thanks.
And for me, my experience was slightly opposite. Like, as a kid, everything was fine. Like, we were all vaguely friendly. There were a couple of girls I didn't like as much, but everything was mostly fine. But then I feel like it was probably 4th or 5th grade when things started changing. I was not athletic. I'm still not athletic. Shocker.
Oh yeah, and that was, even though I did play basketball, I did not fit in with those kids. I really didn't, to be honest. It was just, I was kind of like by association just because I played a sport, but I was not like them.
But I didn't play sports. I loved reading. I was smart, and I liked being smart. Like, I wasn't super into boys. Like, it took me longer to get into like the super girly stuff.
Same.
And to figure out how to deal with my hair. Oh God. Bless me. And you
all see her hair now. This is
beautiful. Thank you.
This is like years of her learning.
I have worked so hard.
How to care for ridiculously curly hair.
Don't worry. I'll dig out my middle school picture to share with you where I was, so you'll understand why maybe I wasn't super popular. Bless me. But like, so as a kid, it was fine. But for me, puberty was super unkind. I got ginormous boobs. My hair suddenly was insanely curly and poofy. And my mother did not have curly hair. And so she kept brushing my hair. And it was just bad. Everything's bad. I had big glasses, braces. Like, I had the trifecta of misery.
She had all the bad things that get kids picked on back in the day.
And then on top of that, I went to not the same school as literally every other person at our church. I did not go. I lived on the other side of town. And there were other people who did. Their parents didn't make them be super active in church. So I ended up getting a lot of crap in my middle school years and high school years from people that maybe had not been my friends as a kid, but suddenly became cruel and
because
really
she went
pushed
to the other school.
Stupid sports things. Like, I don't care if your team is better. It doesn't matter. Who cares?
She's like, I don't give a rip. I don't give a flying fuck
I'll be honest,
about sports.
If I had waited, like if I hadn't been baptized at 9 and I was older, I wouldn't, based just on the people that we went to church with and how they treated me and how they treated you.
Right.
And how they treated anyone that wasn't them. If you know what I mean.
And that's where my judge comes, is it's like, a lot of these Christian parents are like, oh, get your kids in church early. And for me, it was like, I hated it because it was torture. I mean, literal emotional torture every time. Like literally April and Christy Joe and maybe a few others were
we had
the
people
only
who flitted in
reason
and
that I
out that
would
made
go.
it better, but
do what?
So we had other people who flitted in and out, but it was the three of us who were consistently always there.
Yes, so many things.
Although the current thing. Now I want to say, Christy Joe, if you're still listening, I love your dad. Okay, so don't hear judgment here, because I think he's one of the greatest human beings we have ever come across.
We are not
honestly,
judging Jerry at all.
But in the land of TikTok, it has now the people have started being like, what's the deal with this live crucifixion thing that churches keep doing?
Gosh.
And it immediately brought back Passion Play, which was always great, and I loved doing Passion Play. Actually, that was one of the few things.
Yes,
because we were just kind of like around. We didn't have big roles. We just kind of flittered in and out as we pleased, and that was my level of commitment.
We started out as like
the goat girls.
Crowd people with sticks yelling kill him, and then we moved to the choir where we would sing, and
we were the goat girls though. OG goat girls. We had the goats, but it immediately reminded me of how every year, because obviously, you know, you build off of your last year, you do something different, you do it better, you learn. But by the time we got to the end, man, Jesus was just like pouring down the blood. The fake blood was just dripping off his body. And I was just like, I mean, I get it. I get the visual effect here. I know what we're going for. But also, I was like, there's children in the audience.
I know.
Can't we just...
I mean, this was like almost like Passion of the Christ worthy.
Because I went to the last one. I'm pretty sure I did. Yeah, we did. Because Dad was in it. I went and saw the very last one.
Yeah, because you and I sat together.
Mm-hmm. And I just... It was the... that's the one that...
Or the last one that Jerry did.
Right. Well, to me, that was the last one, okay?
Yes.
Without Jerry, it doesn't exist.
That's right. Jerry is the reason that whole church was able to function at all.
It's so true. But yeah, so like I can remember us sitting there, and I assume that maybe they just had like a extra amount of the fake blood, like
they're just trying to
get rid of their stores, or whatever. Because like the dripping was so extreme. I was like, I get it. If this were real, obviously, but dude, that's not gonna come out of the burlap. I mean, no, we're gonna have to throw that burlap away. We're gonna have to burn it, and it's just pouring down. I was like, okay, someone got a little too syringe happy with the fake blood, guys.
Oh my gosh,
it was a lot, and so it cracks me up because that's the current thing in the land of TikToks of what the hell is happening at churches? What are they doing?
Right. And side note, guys, my dad played Jesus for like a decade or more. I mean, straight up. I think he was like almost 50 when he stopped playing Jesus.
He was like, my beard is gray. I'm done.
They were to the point, yes, they were using like black junk to like paint his beard so he didn't, look gray. And the wig, oh my gosh, y'all, well, I mean, my dad in a wig. I'll have to find a picture so we can post it.
Yes,
but
it takes a special person to be willing to wear a weird loincloth thing and hang mostly naked in front of a group of people with fake blood dripping
like
down.
The entire county.
It was just like, poor Joe.
Everybody, because y'all, and this wasn't a one-off when we would do it. It was like a whole freaking production.
Yeah, I mean, it was a week of shows.
An entire weekend of, oh God, it was exhausting. Like, I almost feel like, to me, it was more exhausting than doing like shows at the theater.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Because for us, it was like we were doing school during the day, and then we'd have to go to this rehearsal thing at night. And once it was like the week before the show, when you get into like, the tech stuff and all that, and and we're adding in live animals. Live animals are completely unpredictable. Dad got bucked off a donkey once. I'm pretty positive, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I know the Jesus, one of the Jesuses before him did get bucked off the donkey into the wall.
Well, and I feel like we also had like a horror story of things that happened to Jesuses after they stopped being Jesus. Divorces abound and poor life choices. Except Joe. Joe seems to be doing all right. Right, Joe?
Yeah.
Joe?
He's fine. He's fine. But
he's praying for us right now.
We're going to, you're going to school during the day, and you're having to go to these long, and I mean, they were long rehearsals, like 5 hours and you're just like, I hate my life. And you wouldn't get home until like 11, and then you have to get up and go to school the next day. I mean, I feel like that was like just a precursor for me, like
I
getting
just
into theater now.
yeah.
But I feel like to me that was more exhausting.
Well, I just remember
I don't know
like
why.
going to school the next day, and again, no one I went to school with went to church where we went. Not one. It was just me. Um, and I remember people would be like, "Oh, what'd you do over the weekend?" It's like, "Well, we crucified Jesus 3 times," and they're like, "Oh, okay."
Because it's like we would do like
Just
a
attending
Thursday
crucifixions. It's a normal.
yeah,
It's
because it's like
normal.
we do like maybe a Thursday performance, and then it was like Friday night, Saturday night, and then Sunday morning they'd have like
Mm-hmm.
the performance for the people who actually went to church there if they hadn't seen it already. And I mean, other people could come too, but it was just like, I'm ready. By the time it was done, you were ready for it to be done
Yes.
because you had been rehearsing this junk for like months. Because the way they would do it, it was like the choir would do their own rehearsals like on Wednesday nights and stuff, and the orchestra would do their own rehearsals, with music,
Mm-hmm.
and then the actors would have their own rehearsals, and then probably about maybe a month or so before the performance, then they'd start putting it all together, you know. And I think part of it too is they wanted us to look like talk about racist. They wanted us to look like we're from the Middle East, so they
Right.
made us all put on this like incredibly dark makeup. I
Mm-hmm. I
mean,
do
we
remember
looked,
that. Mm-hmm.
oh my god. I mean, it was just like caked on, lots of eyeliner, lots of makeup.
Which
It was obscene.
I
The amount
guess
of makeup.
applaud in one sense to them for recognizing that it wasn't all white people and Jesus wasn't white. Because to be fair,
Right, that
Christianity
too.
basically is
Yes.
like Jesus was white with blue eyes. Like, no,
No.
that's not how
Mm-mm.
genetics work. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
And I mean, and they, we had the headpieces. I mean, it was the whole shebang. It was ridiculous.
My
And
favorite memory is I feel like it was Jerry who got really annoyed because in the first years, because we made our own costumes or whatever, he
yes,
was
uh-huh.
like, "You can't all wear purple. People were poor.
Yes.
You have to wear browns. People were poor, okay? You can't wear your
Yes.
jewelry. Stop doing that. They're poor." And I was like,
Yes.
"You go, Jerry."
Oh my gosh.
He was
And so
great.
I think my mom was one of the ones who like went and found a bunch of like different like khaki colored
Yeah, I had like
tones
a
and made a new one.
rustish, orangey something and brown. Like it was browns, but one had like a slight rusty orange tone to it because you have to have two
Yeah.
colors.
Mine was like a blue.
You were
I think
rich.
mine was like a
You were
blue and
rich,
green.
rich. Mm-hmm.
But it was like a pale blue. It wasn't like
Well,
some
right,
kind
but
of
you weren't wearing the dirty, dingy clothes that.
that's true.
No,
But I
my
was
mom
still
made mine. It
carrying
was
the
fine.
goat. It was fine.
Yeah, we got
Still
pooped
carrying
and
the
peed on.
goat.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
It's true.
Well,
So that's our judge,
yeah.
I
Thank
guess.
you as we unpack our childhood trauma of churches. Again, not all bad.
No.
I do greatly appreciate my friendships with Claire and Christy Joe because they are iconic from my childhood. Like most of my good memories are us.
Yes, definitely.
So,
Absolutely.
and it just the 90s, every generation I think learns from growing up. The whole boys will be boys thing that has kind of gone out of style, I think, is because we grew up in a boys will be boys nonsense and we were like, this is
Yes.
not okay. It's actually really traumatic to be like, they can do whatever
Yes.
they want.
And I think it is because people like our age
Yeah. And so
are
it's
becoming older, and it's like, no, we put up with that for our entire childhood and we're done. We're not doing this anymore. Like this is not okay. Like you all were able to get away with it for so long, and now it's just
it's
like,
like,
no,
we're done.
that's
We're done. We're not
that's
doing that.
unacceptable. That is unacceptable behavior. You can't do that anymore.
But it's, the other kind of bizarre benefit of it all is that it really pushed me to want to leave, to be somewhere else, to be around different
Yes.
people.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I'm on the other side of the country now, so cool. But I don't know.
I think for me, it was like when I got to college, I think I still tried to continue to go to church, and I don't know. It
well,
just
and
did not feel right to me. I did not feel like I connected to anybody. I just, yeah. And so when I was in college, that's where I stopped going. And, going to a Christian college, which April can probably attest to this too,
What? Mm.
you get involved with these people and you're like, y'all are being like extra judgy and what? No, this is not how this works. Like, who are you? It's just that kind of thing where all these people who are big into like the campus outreach kind of thing or, you know, BSU that we had back in the
Don't
day.
let
And it
the
was just like
BSU BSU.
BSU. That's right.
That was my
Absolutely. 100%. But it's like these people are like judging other students for not, being involved and stuff like that. But then you find out later that it's like these people
they're
had
some
their
of the
own
worst people
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, they're some of the worst people and they have their own demons and it's like,
Mhm.
how dare you?
Yeah.
Like, stop.
Well,
No.
and to me,
Look,
that's what it boils down to. And my argument is, whatever my parents had decided to indoctrinate me with as a child, if they had been Catholic, I would have grown up Catholic, and I would probably
Yeah.
be in the same position of I don't know about this. But if we had, if they had been Buddhist or Muslim or like Spencer's family,
Whatever.
not anything. That's what I would have grown up
Yeah.
with. It would have been. It's not really a choice. I mean, it's not like the parents are doing anything wrong. I'm not saying that, but it's just you believe stuff because you were born into a situation in which people expect you to believe stuff.
Yeah.
So do with that what you will. And, as an adult, you kind of have to unpack that, question, is this you? Is this what you truly think and believe? Or is this just what you've always known, so you can't consider something different, I guess.
Right.
Which is why today we're talking about synchronicities. Woohoo! And the universe. So, no more religion here, because this is all, new agey.
That's right.
Everything's connected.
Mysticism.
I love it. This is where I am now. I will say, what I love about synchronicity is that there is this concept of kind of the universe being connected, like you being connected to everything and the universe being connected to you. Like, not like I'm physically can make this tree grow by thinking grow tree, but like,
right. Yeah.
Just that we all share the same things, energy, resources, and that we have a connectiveness to it beyond just the very obvious. That's all.
Yes.
So, Claire, I'll let you get us started.
Oh boy. You may have to help me through this because you were the philosophy major.
Yes,
hey,
by the way, I went to a Baptist college that was Baptist to the degree you wanted it to be. So you could be super religious or not. But I loved philosophy, did lots of philosophy of religion classes, loved it. Helped open my mind to lots of different other things that are out there that people have come up with to explain existence. And I find it fascinating. Fascinating. Yes. All right, let's go.
All right. So synchronicity was coined by Carl Jung, a Swiss psychiatrist in like the 1900s, 1920s. And he describes it as meaningful coincidence, where two events that have no apparent cause and effect relation, but are connected by meaning in profound ways. And Jung, he himself did believe in synchronicity and further developed that with a man named Wolfgang Pauli. Is that how you say that? Pauli?
Sure.
I don't know.
When I read stuff in textbooks, because we did Carl Jung in my psychology classes, but I just pronounce names in my head, so I don't know.
Right. Nobody knows. But he also said that it was a healthy, necessary function of the mind, but that it can be harmful in times of psychosis.
I hate those times of psychosis. I'm just telling you. It's bad times for everybody.
And most scientists today believe that the meaningful coincidences are just non-scientific. Many argue that things like confirmation bias give a better explanation. Like people seek out information to support their ideas and
Right.
ignore any other info that challenges what they think.
It's almost
Which,
like QAnon.
I mean, yeah, talk about psychosis. No, I'm kidding.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, but Jung also used synchronicity to argue the existence of the paranormal. So he was kind of into like
I know. I love him so much.
mysticism and paranormal activity,
Woo.
that kind of thing.
Which, as you know,
Uh
we love. So.
yes, we
Mhm.
do love paranormal. Yep. And that nothing but chance occurrences from a statistical point of view but are meaningful because they seem to validate the paranormal. So he thought that synchronicity was just another way to prove that the paranormal existed.
Right. That there's
But
something else.
yeah, yes, that there is always something else. And critics say that synchronicity is self-generated by people just looking for answers. Striking coincidences usually occur when people are experiencing psychological gridlock, looking for patterns.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's what I have. Oh, and my sources are CNN,
Yay.
Psychology Today,
Yay.
Wikipedia,
Mm-hmm.
History.com,
Yay. All the good
Red Bluff
ones.
Daily. Yeah, Red Bluff Daily News. Anyway, so it's just everything. It's just, I don't know. It just seems like it's just everything is connected.
Yeah,
Like that's what I'm gathering from this. Like what
yeah, and
synchronicities are.
it's it's when you're thinking about, well, at the library, for example, there are certain patrons that we don't want to see. So we try not to say their names because it feels like if you say their name too many times in a conversation, it invokes them and then they show up. Like it's that kind of thing.
Like
You're like,
manifests
we were
their
just
existence.
talking about you.
Yeah. So really they're like Lord Voldemort and it's like they shall not be named.
Yes. Well, that's why all good librarians have nicknames for the people that they don't want to see. Because then
I
you're not
see.
truly invoking them. Like
I
Crazy
see.
Italian Cookbook Lady from one of my past libraries.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. That's like there's a woman at my part-time job
Mm-hmm.
that who comes in customer and I don't like saying her name, but it was just like one day she came in and she just about broke me. Like I was so, but it was just out of frustration. Like it wasn't like it upset me so much, but I was just so incredibly frustrated with the situation because I was telling her something that she could not do. She did not like it and she
People
wanted it
always
her
handle that
way.
really, really well.
Right? And it's just like I can't give you this deal on this because you did not pay the other price. It had to do with like a price adjustment for her. Like she bought a certain kind of bra
Mm-hmm.
and she wanted like the same price on this sports bra, which the sports bras are so much more expensive than just regular cotton bras. And it's like I
Mm-hmm.
can't give you that. They're not the same bra. I can only give you that deal if you got another cotton bra. I cannot give you
Right.
the deal on the sports bra. And I kept trying to tell her that. She would not, would not. So finally I was like, hang on just a second. So I walked to the back and I get the manager and I just like lost it. I started crying because I was just so incredibly
Yeah.
frustrated. And she goes out and she tells her the exact same fucking thing I said, and then it's magically okay.
I hate
But
that.
here's the thing: I was a manager at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I was like substitute manager person because they were in a spot and they couldn't find anybody. But it was just like, but after that, it's like, I swear to God, she comes in every fucking Saturday. She has a package to pick up. She has a giant bag of returns. And it's just like sometimes I'm lucky enough that I'm leaving and she's coming in. And I'm lucky enough, but like a couple Saturdays ago, I was not that lucky and it still was an ordeal. She's
Boy.
nicer to me now, though. I don't know if somebody said something to her But she is a little bit nicer to me though. She doesn't, but she did question me. You know, did you give me? Yes, yes. You returned some shorts. You bought the exact same shorts, just in a different size. It's the same deal. I gave you the same deal. Okay, right there. Look at the receipt. I mean, it's that kind of thing. But I try not to say her name because I'm just like,
it invokes them.
No.
And it's that, those little urban legends and old wives' tales kind of things where it's like, you can't say Bloody Mary, it's
Right.
or
Yes.
you can't speak the
Yeah.
name of the Scottish play in a theater. Like, it's those things. It's like you're manifesting something bad, or you're manifesting something by doing it, because everything is sort of connected. So,
but it's like I've
it's
gotten, and other people too, they'll be like, guess who was in here? And it's like, oh, my best friend.
yeah.
Like sarcastically, like people refer to her as my best friend, which is not true at all. But it's just like,
Yeah.
I don't even want to say her name
Because
again,
it's
I don't want to
that.
manifest her existence in the store.
It's those things that well, like for me, so we have a fairly new employee. She's been there for what is this? Almost May. So she's been there
almost May.
For 3 months, 4 months, whatever. And we are the same person, but like I'm the dark side and she's the light side, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Her birthday is exactly 6 months from mine, October 25th.
Ooh.
I'm April 25th. We have, of course, the rocking the long brown hair thing, because brunettes.
Yes.
But our middle names are both Jane. Our first names both start with A.
Nice.
I am a Gryffindor. She is a Slytherin. Like, I mean, it's this weird, like...
Yeah.
And a lot of times... Sorry, Merlin is doing a creepy thing. Pause. What are you doing? Hey. You can't be on my podcast. But like a lot of times we're on the same like wavelength. We'll say the exact same thing at the same time, and we don't know each other at all, really. Like, I mean,
oh yeah,
I've known her for like 3-4 months.
Okay.
But I like her, and she does good stuff, so that brings me joy. But it's just weird because people mix us up already. It's the A thing to some degree, but
even though you've been there for a while, and
it's
interesting.
It's just it's weird because we're so similar, but even though she's a Slytherin, I'm actually the dark one. I'm dark.
Yeah.
Because I am filled with hate and loathing, and anytime someone needs to be yelled at, I'm there for it. Bring me on. Call me up.
So I was gonna share with you guys some famous cases.
Yes.
Of synchronicity.
I love it.
Since we've explained it now. So starting it off, don't know if you all know the whole Lincoln and Kennedy.
I love this
one. Synchronicity. I know this one was.
I love it.
Actually, there's a few on here that I'm like, that's interesting.
This is probably one of the first ones I was told, and I didn't learn it as a synchronicity. I just learned it as, here's this weird thing that makes you feel. It makes you feel creepy, like your hair. Yeah. Goes, ugh. Go for it. Okay, let's go.
So, Lincoln and Kennedy. Last names both have 7 letters. They were elected exactly 100 years apart, 1860 and 1960.
Mm-hmm.
They were both assassinated on a Friday with their wives present. Lincoln was killed at the Ford Theater, and Kennedy was killed in a car that was made by Ford.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, both of their assassins had 3 names. Lincoln's was John Wilkes Booth, and Kennedy's was Lee Harvey Oswald. And both of their VPs were Southern Democrats with the last name Johnson. It's like, that's a lot of things. It's really uncanny.
Well, and then there's also they had the exact same number of letters or something. I forget.
Yeah, the 7 letters, Lincoln and Kennedy. Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's just,
so yeah.
It's weird.
But let's take the Lincoln thing a little bit further.
Okay.
Because I found another one that let's see. Where was that one? Oh, Robert Lincoln Abraham Lincoln's son, I guess it was before he was assassinated, was actually saved by John Wilkes Booth's brother, Edwin,
Whoa.
on a train platform. Like, it was crowded. He was trying to like get out of the way, and he leaned back up against the train, and the train took off, and he almost fell, and a guy grabbed him by his coat and saved him from falling onto the tracks. And it was John Wilkes Booth's brother,
If that
Edwin.
doesn't give you chills, you're
I know.
broken. I mean, like there's something wrong with you, because it's like, whoa, universe.
Yes. And also with Robert Lincoln, another one, he was present for 3 presidential assassinations.
Oh.
So he was with his dad.
Right.
Like, when his dad was dying, he was there. He was what did I read? The Secretary of War for Garfield. So he was with Garfield when Garfield got shot. And then again, he was with McKinley when McKinley got shot, and he had some kind of quote saying that like the presidential job is not safe. Like,
he's like,
it's a dangerous job.
Instead of being like, maybe I shouldn't be near a president because apparently I get them killed.
Right. It's my fault.
Oops.
Oopsie. Okay. So moving on from presidential stuff, Mark Twain.
Love.
He was born and he died on the same day, which both Halley's Comet was in the sky. So Halley's Comet was around when he was born, and then 75 years later, it had just entered like the day before the atmosphere. They had seen it, and then he died the next day.
And didn't he like predict that? Like, I came in with Halley's Comet, I'm gonna go out with it? I mean,
yes, it was a year before he died. He said that God, his like quote was, he was saying, God said, now here are these 2 unaccountable freaks. They came in together. They must go out together. So he said that like a year before he died of a heart attack. So he manifested. I guess he manifested.
He manifested it. He spoke
it wasn't
it into
like
being.
It wasn't like he killed himself or anything.
No,
unalived himself. It was like, what? Okay. Thomas Jefferson and John Adams died hours apart on July 4th, 1826.
I knew that
which was also the 50th birthday of the United States.
Oh, wow. It was the 50th, wasn't it? I did forget that. But I remember they both died, yeah.
Uncannily enough, it was James Monroe died a few years later, also on July 4th. Oh. And then they said that James Madison, he refused to take some like drugs that would prolong his life so he could make it to July 4th and then die. Because he was just like, no,
he's
I'm
like,
done.
No, just let me die. I don't care.
I mean,
it's weird.
Was like in June. It was in June. It was a few weeks before, but it was like, oh, we can give you this and get you to July 4th so you can die with the rest of your friends on July 4th. Like, what? No.
Like, no.
Let me be.
It's fine.
Let me go.
I don't need that.
Right. Right. This one's kind of weird too. The Civil War began and ended on Wilmer McLean's properties. So it started in 1861 on a plantation in Manassas Junction, Virginia. Started like in his front yard is when it started.
Can you be like, wait guys, wait. And there it is. There's our Civil War.
Right.
All right.
And then in 1863, McLean relocated him and his family to the hamlet of Appomattox Courthouse. And he supplied the Confederate side with sugar. And then in 1865, Grant and Lee, Ulysses S. Grant and Robert E. Lee, met in his parlor room and negotiated the end of the Civil War and surrender of the Confederacy.
He had to be like, damn it, yeah. I tried so hard to get away from this
like,
shit.
I left. I
like,
moved.
I tried.
I tried so hard to get out of here. Anyway, so yeah, he was the start and the end of the Civil War, which I was like, that's kind of uncanny as well. This one is one of my favorites
Okay.
because this woman should have bought a lottery ticket if the lottery had existed back then. Violet Jessup. She's known as Miss Unsinkable because she survived 3 shipwrecks. She survived
I'm gonna
the
go with
Olympic.
Titanic, the
Yes.
Lusitania, and the Olympic.
Yes.
Okay.
The Britannic, yeah.
The
So
yeah.
the Olympic was in 1911. She was I think it said Argentinian immigrant. Anyway, but she got a job working on the Olympic as a stewardess. It actually hit another boat and
Oops.
it sank. Yes. Well, and it said when I was reading it that something with the Olympics like system kind of like created a whirlpool type thing and pulled the boat into them. Like something with their
Feels like a design flaw. Got it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And I guess the other boat got too close anyway. It got into this pull thing, this current, and it pulled it into them. Anyway, the boat sank, but she survived. So then, a year later, again, as a working as a stewardess, she is on the Titanic in 1912, and we all know how that ends. But
with some ice.
It said that I know. It said that she helped get several people onto their lifeboats and then basically was just handed this baby. And so she took this baby and got on a lifeboat and made it to, one of the other ships that had come to save them. And then it was like this hysterically crying woman came up and just jerked this infant out of her arms, and she was just like, I assume it's the mother of the child. Like it was
I was like I don't
okay.
I'm just here. I don't know anything.
Oh my gosh. And then in 1916 she became a nurse, and she was working as a nurse aboard the Britannic for World War II, and it sank as well, and she survived.
She had to be like, when that one was sinking, she'd be like, seriously? I've done this twice now. Like, again?
I'm
again?
Done. Like, yes. But apparently after that she got jobs on cruise liners and stuff.
Well,
she died in 1971.
Felt like, dude, if they can't take me down. It's fine.
Right. But the Britannic hit a landmine that had been planted by an ocean mine, whatever. It struck something that caused this mine to trigger that had been put there by a German U-boat. Anyway, but then it said that she just went on to work on cruise ships and stayed a part of being on the sea until she died in 1971. But it's just kind of that's bizarre. And I'm going to share with you all my own personal ridiculousness. When I got my job at the sign shop, there was a girl who worked there. Her name was Samantha. And Samantha and I hit it off right off the bat because immediately we both drove red Grand Dams. Same year, everything. I mean, that's just weird. Anyway, both of our last names were Allen at the time because she eventually got married. And we're like, okay, so because both of our last names are Allen, we start talking about family. Samantha and I became more than just co-workers. We became really good friends. We would hang out after work and talk and all that stuff. Do dinners, all kinds of things. But we've learned so many things that were like, this is a little weird. So as we're talking, we learned that my dad's name is Joe. Her brother's name was Joe. So it's 2 more Joe Allens on the planet.
Well, you gotta have some Joe Allens. I
know, right? It's just weird. And then we discovered that on my mom's side of the family, the last name Lusk, Lusk, came up a lot. And she said, that's weird because on my mom's side of the family, their last name was Lush, Lush. But then it was she got to looking into it. She goes, it seems like depending on where that family settled, some of them changed their name. So it was what? Our names now were the same. Our last names were the same. Our ancestors' names could have been the same. It was weird stuff. And then just another random thing. we got to talking, and I made some comment about a community sock basket at my parents' house, and she's like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "Yeah, mom and dad have like a laundry basket where they just toss in socks. Like nobody gets socks in their room. You just have to go in mom and dad's room to get socks." And she's like, "We're the same way. Like my parents do that." I'm just like, "What is happening? This is so weird." But Samantha was one of those. She was very intuitive and like I don't know. It was just she could read people very well. I mean, she wasn't like a medium by any means,
Right,
but she
right.
was sensitive. She was sensitive to stuff like that. And so one day she stops this, she went on to college and got another job. So because she was there probably in my first 3 or 4 years of working at the shop. And so she goes on to college and she'd come back and visit every now and then. And this was several years ago, but she stopped by and she was like, "Yeah, I had a really weird dream about you the other night." I was like, "Yeah?" And she was like, "Yeah." She was like, "It's like I was in the city and you were crossing like a crosswalk and you had your arms full of office supplies and you were really struggling with this hole punch." Which I was like, "Shut up."
Hmm.
Because the week before, no shit. Because even like everybody at the shop was like, "Shut up." Because I had to do this. It was like hole punching a bunch of papers and it was not working. And I was like this close to throwing it against the wall. Like I hated, I was like, "This hole punch is trash. Let's bitch it." And I'm like cussing at this hole punch because it's not working. And she's like, "Yeah, you were really struggling with this hole punch. Like you kept dropping it, you were kicking it, and you like were, and I'm just like, that's
It's so
really
weird.
weird. That's so weird. And so it was just, I don't know. I felt like Samantha and I
Yeah.
always had a connection. And it was like she passed in 2020, not from COVID, for you nosy people out there.
Mm-hmm.
Was not a COVID death. Anyway, but she passed in 2020, and it was probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 months after she passed. I had a dream about her, which was like she came to work. She walked in that back door like she always did. And it was just like we all had a conversation with her about her not being here anymore. And she was
Whoa.
just like, "Yeah, I just wanted," it was like really weird because it was just like she walked in, she talked, and she was just like, "Yeah, I just want to come see you guys. I miss you." And it's like,
Aw.
"Oh, you're not here." And she's like, "Yeah, but I'm okay." Like it was like so weird.
Hmm.
And so I always felt like Samantha and I had that. I mean, reading
Yeah.
the synchronicity stories, like it was just like, this is, I got to tell this one because there were too many
Yeah.
things with us that was like, this is bizarre. So yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so
Well,
that's my foray into synchronicity.
well, I will tell you a synchronicity story that happened just yesterday. I didn't tell you this.
Ooh,
Um,
fancy.
but so as I left my incredibly long day at work, it just wouldn't end. It just wouldn't end. Um,
I hate days like that. You're just like,
I
come on.
was I decided to listen to just like Pandora or whatever on the way home. But I had this profound feeling that I needed to call Claire. It's like I need to call Claire and give her some synchronicity stuff. Because I was like, I had a couple of different things that I was gonna do, and you'll see what mine is. But I was like, because I know that this isn't Claire's topic. This was my topic that ended up on the wheel, and I was like, I think she would like it if I gave her a couple things. I'll check in with her maybe when I get home, because I'm like, normally I can call her on my drive home, but I was like, I didn't. So I'm driving and I'm just kind of listening to random Pandora songs, and then Claire sends me a text, and Claire's text is, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. What the
It's
hell
true.
is going on? And I laughed to myself. I was like, and I called Claire, and then we talked or whatever, and I sent her some stuff, and everything's good. But I didn't tell you that I had that overwhelming feeling at the beginning
To
to call
send me
you
stuff.
to send you exactly what I ended up sending you. It was such a bizarre thing. Like I was like,
That's
I need to
funny. No,
call
you did
her.
not tell me that.
No, and
Well, and
I
it was
just
because
was
my
like,
life this week
huh.
was insane.
Mm-hmm.
Like I worked 2 days, and then one day I had to like spend doing uh community theater books, like get our stuff ready to give to the accountant,
Mm-hmm.
which that was annoying, and I didn't get
Mm-hmm.
home until after 7. And by then I'm just like, I'm tired. I don't want to do this. And then another night, I got voluntold that I had to be at some kind of conference as entertainment to run a trivia game. So it was like that night I didn't get home until 9 either, but there was free
Mm-hmm.
food and wine, so that
Yeah,
one wasn't so bad. It could have been
yeah.
worse.
But
So it
I
was
get
just
it.
like
Yeah.
literally Friday was like the only day. And then they tried to call me into work and that night, and I was just like,
Nope.
no, I have plans. Plans with myself,
Yep.
plans to try to do this topic, plans to watch some TV shows. I have plans.
So
So
yeah,
it's just like
it was a funny moment that I was like, oh, I should just, give this to Claire.
that you thought it, and then I'm like,
And
I
I
don't
thought,
know what the hell I'm
and
doing.
and my thought was like, I needed to just like go ahead and call you, and then I was like, no, wait,
So
I'll
then the
text her
text
when I get home or
solidified
whatever.
it.
And then when you text, I just kind of laughed. I was like, that's so funny.
That is.
You were putting it out into the universe, Claire, and I was picking it
Synchronicity
up.
is
I
real,
picked it
y'all.
up. I was like,
That's right.
Claire needs my help.
Synchronicity is real. I don't care what y'all say.
That's right. All right, so for my story this week with Synchronicity, I am doing Randonautica.
I kind of looked at that and I was like, this seems weird.
It is
and
weird.
complicated.
I won't lie. It's a little weird. So I got most of my information from the Randonautica website, as well as New York Times, The Atlantic, The Cut, and Wikipedia. Because always
Wikipedia.
And
Wikipedia is like the go-to, man.
it's a great start-off point to kind of figure out
Yeah,
kind of the basics.
that's usually where
like I get like
that's
very
usually where I go
basic
to
stuff
first.
from there, and then from there I spread off to figure out, I want to
Right.
focus on this or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, which is probably a lot, Randonautica is an app that you can download on your phone, and I'll just give you a quote from the site. So, Randonautica says that it is the world's first and only quantumly generated choose-your-own-adventure reality game.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense because when I just briefly Googled it, I was like, this seems weird.
So, Randonautica, this is kind of another quote from their website, is a tool created to enhance the human experience with novelty by mindfully exploring the world, the interconnectivity of the universe, and to test the hypothesis that human consciousness can influence the distribution of random numbers through mind-matter interaction. They go into a lot of detail, quite honestly. They have a whole page that's like their theory. So basically what it is an app that will randomly generate coordinates within your designated target area. Like you can zoom in and out. Okay. And it will generate a spot randomly, but as it's generating the spot, you're supposed to focus on something, create an intention.
Just in your head?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So it's you don't tell it anything. It's completely your head, your brain. So you may think, I want to manifest, I want to envision peace and happiness, or something very specific like, a dog or the color red, whatever.
Okay.
It can also, it can just be like a feeling or a mood. It can be as specific or as generic as you want. It's all up to you.
Interesting.
But so,
okay.
It's really just like a few seconds. You're focusing. It tells you like to breathe and focus and think about it because you're trying to put it out there. And when you get to that randomly generated spot, in theory, there's supposed to be something there that will reflect that intention back to you.
Interesting. Okay.
So with this particular app, the creators of it, they believe that quantum random numbers are more likely to be influenced by the human consciousness than non-quantum random numbers. So that's where they kind of get this from. The concept is inspired by chaos theory, which I'm sure you're excited to learn about chaos theory. But basically, I sent you some pictures. Did you get the pictures?
Yes, okay. I did.
So you'll see a picture of a triangle.
I was like, these are random.
They are. So there's one of a triangle with lots of triangles inside. Do you see it?
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So this is called, I'm going to say it wrong, Sierpinski's triangle. And if you make 3 dots, like to make a triangle, and then from then on out, you put a dot exactly halfway between any 2 points. It doesn't have to be in any sequence, randomly. You can roll a die to figure out which 2 points. Like it's
okay.
No matter how many times you do it, you're going to end up with these blind spots, those little triangles within the triangle, where no dot is ever going to go because of, doing the halfway point. There's always going to be spots.
Okay.
And so they kind of morph that into how we all have these blind spots because we all follow these unconscious like rules and laws of there's not really we can't randomly make choices on our own, like just by default. So this is one of their examples. So imagine that somewhere near you, maybe it's near your house, there's a place that you always seem to go around for some reason. Like you've never been in the place, you have no idea what's there, you maybe don't even know that it exists. And they call these places blind spots. And that essentially all of those things are determined mathematically. Think like Fibonacci's number. Like everything, even in nature, has this weird mathematical.
Oh yeah.
Like everything is math in the end, which is our nightmare, quite honestly. But
100%.
But because of that, all of our behavior has a sense of determinism built into it. Like we don't have true free control because we're secretly being governed by math and our decision making.
Is it like we're wired a certain way, or is it just?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's probably mostly that our brains can't hold all things, so it does a lot of shortcuts, and so
okay.
You don't walk to this one area of the park because it's not on your path. It's not on your normal way. You'd have to intentionally make an extra effort to go there, and you just don't because you just don't need to.
Yeah.
So they say, like, imagine that you're tossing a coin. So if you toss a coin, it can fall on heads, it can fall on tails, or it could land so that it's, sticking straight up, sideways. But there's nothing other than these 3 outcomes that can be a result. Like, that's all we can imagine.
Yeah.
So we have determined the outcomes of that coin. So if you roll a dice, you can't get, like, 2.5. You can only get 2 or 3 or 4. So it's like just
you only have 6 options. Right. Yeah.
So the same is true with geography and the paths that we choose and decide to go. There's a limited number of logical chains that our mind can make when choosing a route. So even if we're theoretically acting by chance, if you're like, for example, driving down a road or walking down a road and there's 2 paths, you can choose one of the 2 paths, but you don't choose to go off the path. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like chaos theory, is that there's not really nothing is truly random. It's all mathematically generated, and you can't just on your own, I guess, end up in. There's certain places that we just never end up. The app is also kind of based on on Guy Debord's theory of. I'm gonna say it's derive, but it has a accent, so I don't know. It's not derive, but it's. I want it to be.
Yeah. You want it so bad to be.
And I don't want to go too far into that, because this is not a science or a math show, guys. Sorry.
Right.
But so, a derive, or a derive, or whatever you want the word to be, as defined by Guy Debord, is an unplanned journey through a landscape, it's usually an urban landscape, in which participants drop their everyday relations and let themselves be drawn by the attractions of the terrain and the encounters they find there. So it's
You just go somewhere
It's, yeah,
randomly?
like, kind of without intention. Like, you're just kind of wandering around,
Okay.
and then you're like, I'm in this place, and I'm being drawn to just this place for just
Gotcha.
no reason. It's not intentional. All right, so one of the co-founders of Randonautica is a guy named Joshua Lingfelder. He was 29 when he first started working on the concept of randonauts and Randonautica, and was an old circus performer, which I love.
Okay.
I mean, why not? Why not? And when he was 29, he discovered a bot that's called the Fatum Project, in which the Fatum Project, although interested in other things, one of the things it focused on was creating technology that ensured the randomness of online gambling outcomes. Because otherwise people can game the system, hack the system, figure it out, you know. So Langfelder was interested in that, interested in how it could try and produce truly random things. And he thought that random exploration could help break people out of their predetermined realities. And thought, you know, that people could influence outcomes with their minds. So his goal of this whole project of the app is to explore the relationship between consciousness and technology. Because there have been, since like the 60s, there have been thoughts that people are able to somewhat influence technology. Like just...
Yeah, like...
You know, by their minds, essentially. Like, again, putting something out there, and the technology can pick it up in some way. So Randonautica was officially launched February 22nd of 2020. And that
this is relatively new.
Yes.
Okay.
So there had been a site before, like Randonauts, that some people had participated in, but the app came out then, and the company Randonautica launched officially then.
Okay, gotcha.
And as you recall, in 2020, this silly little thing called COVID came around, and everything shut down, and everyone was trapped at home, and no one was doing anything. By the summer, they had started encouraging people, you know, you can still go outside and socially distance, yada yada, be outside. And so this app grew in popularity because it
lots of people were going outside and doing things.
There's a chance for you to go outside, maybe hang out with your friends. It became really popular on like TikTok and YouTube. So like the younger demographic that's desperate for interaction at this point because they've been trapped at home. And so I downloaded it. Spencer and I tried it yesterday. And
oh, did you?
with varying levels of success. So it's super easy. Like you download it. You get 150 tokens every day that you can spend, so to speak, in order to go on, you know, to make it generate coordinates.
Gotcha.
But so I have some examples of people who have done it, because that's really the point of the story. Because again, it's putting out a thought and intention, and then
hoping the universe reciprocates.
Yes, with the goal of connecting to the technology, to the universe, so that it, even though it's random coordinates and it takes you to like random fields, or, you know, we went to an old oil gas station place. I mean, like it can take you anywhere, or like it can be one of the places it tried to take us. You know, the crazy road that we drive up to come back to town.
Yeah.
Is one way. Like a spot over there, and it's like, I can't get there. I'd die. You can't walk on, that's a mountain. You can't walk on that. But so these are some examples of people who've had success. Obviously, it doesn't always work. My intention for our first stop yesterday was happy birthday, because it's almost my birthday, and that's all I care about.
Right.
And it took us to like an old oil place, and I didn't see anything that resonated to that. The second one we did, I was like, peace and happiness. And like, it took us to a street we'd not been down before. Again, blind spot.
Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't anything specific at the end, but the whole journey up there, like once we turned a certain corner, we were almost there. Like we saw a house that had this amazing outdoor fireplace that I was like, that's so wonderful. That would be so great. I would love that. We talked about how quiet it was up there, so peaceful.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
Like you're not necessarily like so obvious as a peace symbol.
And I'm not saying that that was necessarily a successful Randonaut, but I thought about it later. I was like, oh, it was.
You're like,
it was really peaceful up there. It was nice. We both commented about it. So, but so here are some examples. So like one person put out the intention of a dog. They're just like, I'm thinking a dog, and it takes them out into the middle of a desert. There's nothing around. And they find a really super friendly dog. Just in the middle of the desert, nothing around. So they took the dog home with them because it's in the middle of the desert.
Well, I mean, it's in the middle of the desert, yeah.
So they have a dog now. Yay.
Nice.
One woman was thinking about her recent college decision. She had decided which school she was going to. I don't remember if it was Kansas University, but it was a KU.
Okay.
And her Randonaut took her to a lawn where randomly KU was mown into the grass.
That's crazy.
One person focused on adoptable kittens, and it took her to a spot where a stray sweet baby was just wandering down the street, so she picked it up and took it home.
I like these like finding pet stories.
Know. Isn't
these
it cute?
Are nice.
I like them. Another guy set his intention on a sign from a friend named Zach who had died a couple of years prior. Mm-hmm. And he was just, missing, feeling sad. And this one I sent you a picture of. He came across
when you said Zach, I was like, oh, that's the photo.
Literal sign for a different Zach. And he's like, it's literally a sign from Zach.
Yeah, like it says Zach on it. Yeah.
One person set the intention to find some treasure and came across a table of free food, which that's a true treasure.
Oh, is that what that one was? Mm-hmm. Okay.
With a sign saying anyone could take some. Another user just had the thought of something red, and it took him to this random field with a red couch there.
And that picture, I was just like, what are these photos she's sending me?
Mm-hmm. Another person had the thought of a fridge, and it took them to a random field with a fridge in the middle. There's lots of random stuff in fields.
It's just like, right? Like people just abandon it. It's like, oh, we're done.
Well, and it's just like, I thought this, and here it is. And it's not like in a field with a bunch of other junk. It's like the only thing in the field.
Yes.
One user was taken to a grave of 2 unknown relatives that he discovered.
Wow.
Another one found herself, it took her to her grandfather's grave.
That's weird, yeah.
One of my favorites, a woman named Jennifer Costello, was 32 and a true crime fan, like we all are.
Yes.
She lives in Vancouver, and on one of her Randonauts, she found a plastic bag full of hundreds of photos of moldy bread.
The photos were of the moldy bread?
The photos were of moldy bread. What a random...
People are so weird.
I know. It's just sitting in the middle of the woods.
So weird. That is... What?
And another girl, her name Taylor Dickerson from Spokane. Her very first time randonauting, she and a friend found a pristine letter on a sheet of just notebook paper in the woods, in the middle of the woods. And so the letter says, I'm writing this to inform you of how amazing you really are. I graciously think you are swell. And it was signed...
This app sounds ridiculous. Like, what is happening?
It was signed by, because signed, and so they looked him up, and the guy that had written it had died weeks before.
What?
they did manage to track down the person it was addressed to and give it to her. But the thing that was weird is that
so it was actually okay. So it was addressed to another person. Okay.
The weird thing was that it had been raining for days because Pacific Northwest,
Oh
and
yeah.
the letter was completely dry. There's no damage. It was just
What?
I know. But there are other stories. So there are some creepy ones like.
Oh yeah, I have no doubt.
Teenagers love the creep factor, so they like to do spooky or scary or death or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And so
I have no doubt that's where some of these went. Yeah.
There are stories of like people putting in death or something as their intention, not putting it in, but thinking death as their intention.
Like thinking about it, yeah.
And they have ended up in fields that have empty coffins just sitting in the fields.
What?
And it's one of those things.
Why?
It's like,
why are there coffins in fields?
Right? It's weird and it's creepy. Probably that
would wig me out, and I don't know that I'd ever want to do it again.
Right. Well, and there have been people who are like, I'm never doing this again because they have like a really bad experience.
Right. Yeah.
So one of the most famous ones is there was a group of teens who were randonauting, and it took them to a beach in Duwamish Head in Puget Sound, West Seattle. And I think they also had done death as their intention.
Okay.
Because teens.
Yeah, I mean.
And so
we probably would have done the same thing if this had been around.
It's
We'd
true.
Been like, let's do something ridiculous. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's like, let's do spooky. Yeah. And then we freak ourselves out.
Right. And then we run away screaming. Yes.
And so they're wandering around. They see this suitcase on the shoreline. And they're like, "Oh, let's go see what's in the suitcase." Like, and I watched this TikTok video. It's real.
Okay.
And so they get to it and they unzip it, and like one of the girls has like a stick that she's like kind of prying it open, and they're like, "Ugh." And there's garbage bags inside, and they're like, "We don't know what this is." They call the cops.
Good for them.
And the cops come, and it's human remains.
Stop it.
And it turns out that there were garbage bags with the dismembered bodies from 2 people.
Oh my god.
And
that's crazy.
They didn't do that. This is one that's
crazy.
It's documented that this is what they did. This is how they found it. The cops came. The cops eventually arrested the landlord of the 2 victims. The landlord had murdered them and dismembered them and put them in a suitcase, and it had sort of washed ashore, I guess. But like,
wow.
They never randonauted again.
Well, I mean, can you blame them?
Well,
I mean,
and it's, so they, obviously this became pretty big news. And so,
oh yeah.
A lot of reporters reached out to Langfelder, and it was like, what do you have to say about this? Do you think your app is responsible?
Oh, yeah.
Yada, yada. And he's like, when you're sending millions of people to random locations and searching the hidden corners of reality, you're bound to find some pretty shocking stuff sometimes. But then he also pointed out...
But it's like, I don't feel like the app was not responsible.
No.
For the deaths.
No.
I mean, that's like, yeah. No.
But maybe the trauma that the kids now have, but...
Maybe, yeah, probably.
But this made me laugh. He also pointed out that people have frequently stumbled across human remains while playing Pokemon Go.
I don't doubt that at all. And as a person who used to play the Harry Potter one until it got shut down, which I'm still very sad about, it hurt my feelings.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But yeah, I mean, I could see absolutely how people would, I mean, if they were like out in the, wandering around, trying to get to like, oh, here's a fortress over here. I need to do my thing, Yeah, I could absolutely see how that would happen.
But like so obviously there's controversy with
As there always is.
anything, in that
Yeah.
there are a lot of fake videos out there. I watched several on TikTok last night, and like some of them were authentic and kind of creepy, or
Yeah.
because on TikTok you're absolutely watching a younger demographic that are super into the creep factor,
Oh, yeah.
which I'm here for. I'm here for
Definitely.
the creep factor. But so
Yeah.
like there's a lot of them that it's like, it took me to this place, and then you see like this weird person in a distance, and all of a sudden there's like a jump scare. They're like, oh god, are they here? And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
and it just like,
Yeah.
um and then others you're like, this is totally staged, you can just tell. It's like
Oh,
interesting.
yeah.
But I watched one that it was a group of teens, and their intention, of course, was like death or scary or whatever, because
Yeah,
teens.
as they do.
And it's dark, which, by the way, in the Randonautica app, they have like 9 tenets of going randonauting, and it's things like put positive things out there, don't
Yeah.
trespass on private property, don't go where you're
Oh,
not
yeah.
allowed, don't do anything that can hurt anybody, like that's.
Yeah.
It also says things like take a trash bag with you so you can pick up litter along the way, It's
Oh, yeah. Like, be a better human.
the intention of the app is not to go to
Oh,
the
yeah.
crazy, spooky, creepy things, but teenagers, and also me,
Yes.
because next time we're together, Claire, we're randonauting the crap out of some creepy shit, so.
Let's do it.
And then we'll just scream like little girls. It'll be fine.
That's right. Be like, oh, shit.
But in one of the videos I watched, they were at some bridge, and they discovered what looked like, I don't want to say like a pool of blood, because it wasn't like thick, but it was definitely like a circular largish splotch that looked authentically like blood, and then it looked like blood drops leading to somewhere, and they were following it, and I don't know what happened after that, because I don't want to like and subscribe to see the next one, but
You're like, no, we're
but
not
I was
doing
like, those things are creepy. I don't like that. Ugh. But so there's obviously that controversy that there's a lot of it's fake to try and get attention and to get follows and yada yada. But
yeah. Let's become TikTok famous.
to me, most of the ones that I came across were pretty positive things. Like this group of girls were like, we're gonna, their intentions were to find the primary colors red, yellow, and blue.
Oh, yeah.
And they end up in this place where there's a lot of things that are red, yellow, and blue. Like, it was like, oh, like, or like another.
So these can be like anything from like really simple to like complicated,
Yeah.
like something really specific. Yeah.
And then like another person went somewhere, and they found, like, it was just like a random spot on the side of the street, because it takes you anywhere. And they noticed that there were a lot of things in the area that were the exact same shade of blue, and that was weird.
Okay.
Someone put in like glitch in the Matrix, which one of my other favorite topics. And it took them to this weird place where it looked like there had been a door, or there was supposed to be a door, like had steps going up and had like a big like portico thing over it, and there was no door, and they're like, is the door not been, formed yet in the Matrix? Like, what the heck? So like
apparently.
So it's all sorts of stuff like that. So it's mostly fun, safe, positive type things.
Yeah.
They also tell you shouldn't go randonauting alone. Don't go in the dark, which all the teenagers want to go in the dark, but whatever.
Of course they do.
But so controversy, it's a lot of it's faked, but there's also kind of what we talked about, the confirmation bias controversy of you're specifically looking for something to confirm what you put out there, so you're going to find it.
And it could be like whether it is absolutely, or if it's like a roundabout relation to what you were thinking.
And so, like, I mean, fair. Obviously, I was looking for stuff specifically when we did it, but one of the other videos I saw, and again, I can't prove that these videos are real, but they didn't obviously seem faked, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, like it wasn't
So,
like, oh, this is
it was a group, and one of them didn't believe in it. Like, this is stupid. And
Yeah.
they were like, okay, well, you set the intention. Don't tell us what it is. And so she didn't tell anybody. And so it takes them to this random small park that they'd never been to before. And they're just kind of looking around, and there's a sign, and it says Luna Park. And the girl who set the intention starts crying, and like, oh my God, what's wrong? And she's like, I was thinking about my dog. Her name is Luna.
Oh my gosh. Oh, snap.
So it's like those
Yeah.
kinds of things, they happen in life where it's like, I just thought about you, and then you just appeared out of
Right.
nowhere, or, I just had that weird thought, and suddenly it's here, and, I love the idea that you can kind of manifest things if you think it hard
I
enough.
think I want to download this app now. Just to try it.
And it's weird, like, you have sort of choices. I can't quite completely understand the difference of the choices. Everything I've read is just do whatever. It's fine. It's all the same.
I mean, like you said, it's like choose your own adventure. So
Mm-hmm.
that's interesting.
And it's just, I tend to view it as whether you believe that things are connected like that or not. It's a fun thing to kind of go do to stretch your legs.
Oh
But
yeah.
again, don't go on anyone's property, because Kentucky especially is
chasing waterfalls. Yep. Anyway.
Kentucky's like a stand your ground state. They can shoot you for no reason, so don't do
that.
But I like it. I like the idea that there is more interconnectivity among things than we're aware of. So I'm gonna keep manifesting our podcast success and hope the universe reciprocates.
Well, I guess too, it's interesting to think that, like with technology, because it's like, it's technology. It doesn't think, it doesn't have emotion. It doesn't, it is what it is. Like, it's mathing and numbers and that kind of thing. And for it to be like, ooh, there might be some kind of, I don't know.
Well, and to me, and this isn't their theory at all. This is April's making up stuff come from her head. It's the reality that all things put out some kind of electricity. Like there's, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know that electricity is the right word, but I think it is,
Yeah.
We have a certain amount of electricity in our body.
Or it's like we're all just putting out stuff into the universe, like.
But so it's
vibes and.
In the same way that there's a period in my life in which all electronics around me would just die because I had some magnetic field around me destroying stuff.
I remember that because you couldn't wear a watch for a really long time. It was just weird.
I was just like, I quit. Whatever. It's that concept that we do have some, whether it's electricity or magnetism or whatever it is that all entities have. It makes sense that technology could have some kind of interaction with that, whether it's all just random chaos or meaningful connection. I don't know, but that's my thought. That's my crazy thought.
Well, synchronicity.
Synchronicity. It was fun. I hope you guys liked it. I had fun.
It's weird because it's just like, oh, this is interesting. Especially when you get out there and you start reading things, you're like, wait, what? Oh, that gave me goosebumps. Ooh, this is weird.
That's the thing. When it's the goosebump thing to me is when I'm like, maybe there's something to it because I'm having a physical reaction to this knowledge.
Right. Yes, definitely.
Absolutely. I'm not scared. Like, I'm not in a situation where I'm feeling scared. I'm just like,
you're just like, ooh. Yep.
It's my spidey sense of tingling.
It is. Well, guys, it's that time again. It's time for Tarot with April.
Mm-hmm. Oh, another word synchronicity.
Yes.
I will bring up since I'm getting the tarot cards ready. Here's the tarot cards. If you recall, Claire, the very first time we pulled tarot for this podcast, one of our cards was the Judgment card.
It was. It really was. I remember that, yes.
That is a synchronicity.
We're manifesting it.
All right, so tell me when to stop.
All right.
Doing the shuffle, mixing up cards. Oops. Not using that.
Dropping them all over the place.
That's right. Doing a shuffle, synchronisticness for our week. Give
Stop.
us some love.
As much as I love this song.
Thank you. I like to sing songs as I'm doing things. All right. I have to remember how I'm flipping them. I'm flipping them for you. Okay. All right, so, are you ready?
Yes.
3 of Swords.
3 of Swords.
Mm-hmm. So that's probably going to govern my birthday, so it better be good. Do you hear me? All right. After that, inverted Page of Cups. That's our midweek. We're going to end our week with Temperance. That's my card. Temperance is one of my cards, one of my birth cards.
Well, look
Maybe
at
that's
that.
a nice sign. Look at the synchronicity. What?
All right. I don't think we've pulled either one of my birth cards.
We didn't pull the devil? I thought we pulled the devil.
No, I don't think we did.
Oh. I don't remember anymore.
We pulled death.
Well, of course we did.
No, I don't think we pulled the devil.
Well, there's still time, Joe Allen. Don't worry. I hope your dad doesn't listen. He'd probably come and kidnap me and force me into some kind of cult cleansing camp or something.
Cult cleansing camp.
All right, 3 of Swords. Are you ready?
Yes.
This is bad.
Oh, no.
Well, so here's also the thing. I never am sure how to pull these cards. So, like, am I doing them face up for you or face to me? Because, you know?
I'd say for you. Like, because you're the one who's doing it. So, like, I'm not there.
Oh, okay. Well, if that's the case, then these are all reversed. And this one is upright or
I see what you're saying. Like if I was sitting across the table from you, is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how do they do it? Like,
I don't know.
Because I almost feel like it might be based because of the person, like the way they flip them, like whatever it is facing the person.
Facing
Maybe
me
that's
or
what
facing
I'm thinking.
you? Mm-hmm.
Huh.
At the moment, they're facing
that.
you. So we'll just go
We'll have
to
research that.
So, guys, either it's what I'm reading now or the exact opposite. Either way. That's fine. Okay, so 3 of Swords indicates a time of pain and heartbreak. However, it encourages you to use this pain as a lesson learned. Accept your loss, release the pain, and move on with the past behind you. It's fine.
Great.
We'll move forward.
Happy birthday.
Whatever. Happy birthday, April. Spencer's gonna dump me.
No.
All right. The Page of Cups. You ready?
Yep.
The Page of Cups is boundless, intuitive, and a bit of an inner child. Don't be afraid to dream big and follow your heart. I like this one. Additionally, be sure to listen to your intuition. It's trying to tell you something. Synchronicity.
But it's inverted.
Oh, it is inverted, isn't it? Well, then that's bad.
No,
it's
great.
Immaturity, lack of focus, escapism, impulsiveness, and creative block. We're so immature.
We are.
It's all right. Gonna go back to my birth card. My temperance. Temperance is bringing balance, patience, and moderation into your life. You're being invited to stabilize your energy and to allow the life force to flow through you without force or resistance. It's time to recover your flow and get your life back into order and balance. So it'll be alright.
So it's like
or
in the
it's
week.
the exact opposite, either way. So basically, like every other week that we have, it's a little shitty, and then at the end it gets better. That's basically the theme of every week.
I'm seeing a pattern.
Which fair, because that's how my life is right now. Well, that was fun.
Yay. All right. Let me pull up the wheel here.
The Wheel of Fate. I feel like we should have a Wheel of Fate song.
We should. Some kind of little something. I don't know.
It's the Wheel of Fate. What is the date? I can't be late for the Wheel of Fate. Nah, that's stupid.
Something like that. Okay. All right, here we go.
All right, Wheel of Fate. Here we go, no whammies. Give us something good. And it's gonna be... She snorts.
Bigfoot.
I love Bigfoot. And helpful. So we're trying to get a Bigfoot person expert, I guess that's the word I want.
Okay.
To do a program at the library, but I guess they think we're being facetious because no one is returning any of our calls or emails. Like, we have reached out to an inordinate amount of people. So we have decided, my coworker and I, that we are just going to do it ourselves. So,
wow.
LOL, it'll be some research for my summer reading program of Bigfoot.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, it's
Bigfoot.
I love Bigfoot. It's fine. But one of our volunteers has a cast of a Bigfoot footprint. So I'm like, I'm here for this so hard.
I want to see this. Yes, take photos. If you see it, take photos.
So I'm like, yep, I'm here. And she is a true believer in Bigfoot. And I'm like,
oh, really?
Okay. I don't know. I don't want to say no because
you don't want to be like that pretentious and like, I know everything.
I listened to a podcast several weeks ago that wasn't really about Bigfoot, but ended up talking about being like areas like travel portals or whatever. It was talking about like a theory of different creatures or aliens or whatever being able to get here because there's like areas where there's maybe like a door, not a literal door, but
like a portal
to travel to somewhere else or whatnot. I forget what they called them. It had like an actual scientific name, so it didn't sound as ridiculous as I'm saying. And in that discussion, one of the theories was, cryptids like Bigfoot or Nessie or whatever. It could be that they're coming and going from somewhere else, and that's what people are seeing, and that's why you can't find them, and they're not. I'm like,
gotcha.
I mean, I don't know. That would be cool. I'd love to have a travel portal, but
right.
I really wish I remember what it's called. So I'm like, I don't want to say no because I like being open-minded to possibilities.
Right.
And I also don't want to see a Bigfoot in person, so it's not a life goal.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Or if I did, I'd be like, let's do it from a distance.
Well, and apparently, according to my coworker, they smell horrendously. That's how you know there's one around. I'm like, she's like, it's like next level BO. And I'm like,
okay.
If I smell that, I'm gonna run. Thanks.
Right.
But so,
Awesome.
Bigfoot.
So join us next week for Bigfoot. Or go watch Harry and the Hendersons, because that was one of my favorites.
Oh my god, I love that show. Okay, Bigfoot's gonna be great.
It is. Yes. Woo.
All right. Well, until next time, you can find us. I'm just going to list them all in one thing.
That's
so
fine.
You can find us on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, on podcasts, and our YouTube channel, all at Brunch and Judge.
Brunch and Judge.
But you can send us an email, which is what we truly want.
Yes.
Send us emails with topics for our Wheel of Fate, or with your own stories that fit any theme that we have ever talked about or will ever talk about at any point in time, because we love stories and your personal judges. So please send those to
brunchandjudge@gmail.com, because we will totally read them and judge with you.
We
100%.
We love it. It's going to bring you so much joy. Please like and subscribe and share with any of your friends that might like this, because we really want this to be successful. And we think a lot of people will have fun with us. We just want to have fun.
Yes. Girls just want to have fun. Sorry.
That's right.
Anyway.
So until next time, keep on brunching.
And keep on judging.
Bye.
Bye.
Brunch and Judge. Brunch and Judge. We brunch and judge everything and give you opinions that nobody asked for.